Yeah.
Hello everybody, my name is Kier, and this is Jason, and welcome to SacTown Movie Buffs. This will be a YouTube channel where we'll be discussing film, primarily new and old, and debating all types of films. And just so you know, we do all of our ratings on a 5-star scale, so 5-star being the highest, 0 being the lowest. Jason and I have been basically best friends for the last 25 years. We love movies, we love watching movies, we love debating movies, talking about movies, and we just figured that a YouTube channel would be the best platform in order to show everybody these discussions, because they do get quite intense and heated at times. So today for our very first podcast, I thought we would just start off with doing basically our top 10 list from 2019. But before we get into that, since this is our first show, I thought we might just want to do a little bit of introduction for the two of us, since a lot of you may not know who we are. So I'll have Jason kick it off.
All right, my name is Jason Alley, and like Kier said, we have been best friends for like 25 years now. 1995, the beginning of my senior year, and the beginning of your junior year. So it's been quite a while. I've loved movies my whole life. A lot of my good early childhood memories already involve movies. So I'd say my favorite movie of all time is Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead, which is no slam on the 2003 or 4 remake with Sarah Pauli and Ving Rhames. That's a very, very good movie, but the original is my favorite movie of all time. If I had to pick a favorite director, it'd probably be John Carpenter, because even though he has a couple of duds in there, no other director has made so many movies that I truly, truly, truly love. There's a lot of them. So, but my favorite genre, if you hadn't guessed, would be horror.
Shocker.
Yeah. Horror, yeah. Horror and documentary. I would say those two genres I could pretty much eat with a spoon. But I watch all kinds of movies. I watch dramas. I watch action. I watch musicals. I like musicals. All kinds of movies. I love movies, basically. All right. To you, Kier.
My name is Kier Stows, and I also love movies. Like I said, once again, we've been friends and we've been watching movies for decades now. And I really like action movies. My thing is just watching things blown up, people getting shot, people getting killed, martial arts films. Definitely like the blood and guts and shooting and that kind of stuff. So, which kind of mirrors a little bit with the horror. I try to watch the tasteful action movies. Try not to watch too much of the crap stuff, but I do like a lot of action. Some of my favorite directors are probably going to be Quentin Tarantino, as you probably can see from the backdrops. Martin Scorsese is another big one for me. Some of my favorite movies are going to be Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, Goodfellas. Those are all the types of films that I personally like and own and watch. But I do like some other types. I like westerns, I like comedies, I do like other types of films. If there's a type of genre that I'm not as into, it would probably be musicals. A little jarring for me. It's just a little weird for me watching a movie and people break out into a song and dance for no reason. So that's just, for me, it just doesn't work for me.
Well, there is a reason, but if you're not into them, that's okay.
And I'm not.
Okay. All
so
right.
that's exactly what's going on here.
Do you remember the very first movie that we ever went to see together?
I don't. What was it?
You gonna guess? Try to guess. Ooh, very first one. There were 2 other people.
Showgirls? I don't know. That was close, right?
No.
I'm not for sure.
There were 2 other people with us, and I don't even remember who those 2 people were. But we went to saw the movies 8. We were the only 4 people in the theater.
Powder?
Powder. Yes, you got it.
Oh, okay.
You got it. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Good. All movies. That was it.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd throw that pop quiz in there for you.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Good memory.
Yeah.
Good memory. It took me a minute to remember. You had to give me some hints, but I got it. I got it eventually.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, that's kind of basically who we are. We're going to be doing debates and things of this nature, and I feel like right now we're probably just going to go ahead and get into the top 10, and we'll have Jason start it off.
All right. I saw 115 movies by my count that were newly released. As of now, newly released 2019 movies. I've seen 115, and I think, you know, the more you watch this show, the more you know Kiera and me. You know that I like a lot of movies. I'm relatively lenient. I would say out of those 100 movies,
I would all of them.
No, not all of them, but I would probably heartily recommend at least 80 of them.
Yeah, that's
a lot of movies. So what I'm saying is, what I'm pointing out by saying this is that my top 10 means I really, really like these movies. Okay? So to jump right into it, my number 10 for the year 2019 is...
He's got all visual props.
Yes,
I don't have as many visual props. I'm just letting you know that right
I've got... Yes, I'm a collector. I'm a physical media enthusiast, so I have a lot of visual aids here. My number 10 for 2019 is Us, Jordan Peele. Although I would say it's not quite as amazing as Get Out, which was my number one movie of that year, was Get Out. Us, I still think it's a really great movie. I really think Jordan Peele has something special, and I thought it was a very unique movie, a very original movie. I do think, you know, there are parts of it that if you think about it really hard, maybe it doesn't quite make sense, but I'm one of those people that if I'm enjoying a movie, it doesn't really have to make sense if I'm really enjoying it, and I definitely enjoyed this movie. So my number 10 for 2019 is Jordan Peele's excellent follow-up to the even more excellent Get Out.
I liked Us. I did. I liked it quite a bit. You know, it did make my top 10. I think it might have fell in my top 20, somewhere in there, around 17 or something like that. I thought it was a really good film. Again, I agree with you. It wasn't as good as, you know, Get Out. And there was a few scenes or a few parts of it that, like you said, didn't quite make sense to me. So that might have been why maybe it just lowered it a little bit. But it's a really good horror movie. I think Jordan Peele's phenomenal. Whatever movie he makes coming in the future, I will definitely be there. But it just, for me, it just was still a little bit lower on the list. But I can't fault you for putting that as your number 10.
Okay, all right, cool.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
My number 10, I have no visual aids for that one, is actually going to be Ford versus Ferrari. It's a driving movie. It's a race car movie. Didn't it get nominated for Best Picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it should have been, but okay.
It got nominated for Best Picture. That means a lot of people liked it. Right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's okay. I liked it. It was okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought Christian Bale was really good in there. I like Matt Damon. I thought they had pretty decent chemistry. And it was just a fun race car movie. Like I said, I just enjoyed it. I got a big kick out of it. I didn't know a lot about their story, so it was interesting for me to find out how everything unfolded and how the race went. I don't know about the inaccuracies of the story and that sort of stuff, but from what I saw, I really enjoyed it. So that's my number 10, Ford versus Ferrari.
Okay, yeah. I didn't dislike Ford versus Ferrari. I'm not a big car guy, you know, so I'm not like, even though I've seen most of the Fast and the Furious movies, they're never going to be movies that I love.
Yeah.
You know, generally.
And I definitely like Fast and Furious movies a lot more. And
yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm a big car geek, but I like race movies. I race car movies. That's just me.
Speaking of John Carpenter, my favorite car movie is probably Christine. That tells you what kind of car movies I like. But yeah,
it was not a race car movie.
it was fine. It was fine.
Okay.
It was okay.
All right.
I gave it a B- or a B or something like that.
That's probably the same grade I gave it, but it was in my top 10.
Yeah, but it's because you're much tougher grader than I am.
Yeah, and that's another thing we should point out. You know, in terms of that 5-star scale, you're lucky if I give maybe 2 films 5 stars in a year. Usually it's maybe 1, maybe 2. On a really great year, it might be 3.
Yeah.
Jason, on the other hand,
like 15 or 20 probably.
Yeah, probably like 100.
Yeah.
All right, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is... Oh, actually, I'm sorry. My number 9 I actually don't have a visual aid for because it's not out on Blu-ray yet. My number 9 is Little Women, the new version of Little Women. I thought that was great. I think Greta Gerwig is one of my favorite new directors. Again, this is I didn't think it was quite as good as her last movie, Lady Bird, which was higher in my top 10 that year. But I thought Little Women was great. I thought the entire cast was excellent, especially Laura Dern and Florence Pugh, who was also in Midsummer, which is in my list a little bit later on. Yeah, I thought it was great. I went to see it like the day after Christmas, I think, and it's just a really, really good movie. Like it's long, but my interest was there the whole time. It's great, great movie.
Well, unfortunately, of all of his movies in his top 10, this is the one that I didn't see. So, just never got around to seeing it personally. It didn't look that interesting to me personally, so I just didn't see it. What can I say? It didn't look like it was going to be my kind of film, so I didn't go.
Well, I think you should see it because it's good.
Well, maybe I will.
All right.
Maybe I will.
Okay. All right.
But not tonight.
Okay. All right.
My number 9, I actually do have a visual aid for one of the 3 visual aids I have. He buys pretty much every movie that he loves. I only buy movies that I'm going to probably rewatch again multiple times. So, and
that means you can just go ahead and buy Little Women. Because it's great.
So my number 9 is actually going to be Ready or Not. It's actually a little bit more his speed. It's a horror comedy, I would say. I just enjoyed it. I thought it was a great film. I like films where they're kind of like trapped in a room or trapped in a house, or and then there's people attacking you, chasing you, trying to kill you, that kind of stuff. I just thought it was a great story. It was, I wouldn't say necessarily original, but it was kind of original in the sense of what it was. So it's definitely number 9 for me. I think it's a great film. If you get a chance to check it out and you like horror, action, comedy movies, and this would definitely be a great one to check out.
Yeah, I see it's still shrink wrap, so you're watching it a lot.
It is still shrink wrap, actually.
Yeah. No, I really liked Ready or Not. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5, which is like a B+, which for me is really good. I really love it like you. I love movies where people are trapped in a place. It's all like a 24-hour time span.
Right.
It's a survival movie. I love all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get into. We don't really want to get into spoilers about newer movies like this, at least in this first one. But there's a few elements to the plot that I thought could have been done a little better. But that's not a complaint. Again, this is probably in my top 40 for last year, which may not sound like a good thing, but for me, it's a really good thing because, again, like out of that 115 movies, I really liked or loved probably 80 of them. Yeah. So I really liked it, but it's not in my top 10.
And that's what's wrong with you.
Yeah, sure. All right. Okay.
Number 8.
My number 8 is James Gray's Ad Astra, which I thought was great. I'm a pretty big fan of James Gray. I haven't liked all of his movies, but I especially love this one and the last movie he made, The Lost City of Z. I think they're both like really interesting in the fact that they're both exploration movies with the main character with daddy issues. So they're both, I don't know if you've seen The Lost City of Z, but it's great.
I don't recall if I have or not, actually.
It's really good, and it's on Amazon Prime, I think. But anyway, I thought this was a really great movie. I like sci-fi is one of my favorite genres. I didn't mention that earlier, but I do really like sci-fi. I grab it, even though I like the, space alien, type, like the action-oriented sci-fi. I do also gravitate toward like the more like thought-provoking sci-fi, like 2001, and this is definitely more in that category. I thought it was great. It's kind of like Apocalypse Now in space, sort of, and it's really good. You should check it out.
Yeah, I think I actually liked it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was gonna like it. It did make my top 10, but it probably rounds in my top 25 for sure. So, which is still pretty high. I saw 26 films, so I saw more than that. I didn't see 150, but I probably saw maybe 80 films from 2019. But it is definitely my top 25, and I actually did a top 25, which had made the cut. I thought that the action was good. I thought I had a decent story. For me, I don't know. I felt the ending for me was a little bit of a letdown in some ways. I was just expecting a little bit more, I guess, for a climax for me. But overall, I enjoyed it though. I thought it was a good film. So.
Yeah, cool, good.
My number 8 is Parasite. Best Picture winner. So
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
my number 8 of the year. That is just a really good film. You know, I was somewhat reluctant to see it. I do like some foreign films. I just didn't know a lot about the director, and I really didn't know a whole lot about the film when I went into it. I only saw it on the basis of that it was nominated
That's
for.
the best way to watch it, really.
Yeah,
without knowing
I mean,
much.
it really is a film that I really can't tell you a whole lot about without giving too much away. It's really a film that you just have to watch and experience for yourself. It's the acting's good, the story's good. I like the characters. It's funny. You know, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, I think we both kind of discussed this a little bit. I think if there's any parts of the film that I had a little bit of issue with, there's definitely some parts towards the end. Once again, I guess my big thing is endings. You got to end right, I guess, for me. I don't know, but there are some parts towards the end where I was a little thrown off a little bit, or just didn't quite resonate with me. So I felt like there was a few parts that just didn't make quite sense. So, and that was my only knock on it, but you know, any movie I put in my top 10 is I loved. It was a great movie. So.
Yeah. Parasite, I think is a great movie. It appears in my list a little further down or up, I guess you could say. Yeah, I think it's a great movie. I am a big fan of the director. I really like. He made Memories of Murder. He made Snowpiercer. He made The Host. He made Okja. I loved all of those movies, and I think Parasite is just a fascinating movie on every level. It's kind of actually that works discussing this movie. It's all about levels.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we can't say anything without spoiling it. But definitely watch Parasite. I don't care if you are averse to subtitles. It's worth it.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, if you have an issue with subtitles, usually within the first 5 minutes, you forget you're even watching the movie with subtitles.
Right? Can you read? If you can read,
yeah,
you should not mind subtitles.
And this guy's not a good reader. You know what I mean? I'm just joking. Actually, he reads way more books than I do. So
Yeah.
Yep. And then your number 7.
Number 7.
Yeah.
My number 7 is Booksmart. I think this is one. I'm a big fan of teen comedies, good teen comedies, because there's a lot of bad teen comedies, but to me, this is one of the best I've seen in a really, really long time. And I think both lead actresses, I think, are fantastic. Beanie Feldstein got most of the acclaim, and she was great, but I think Caitlin Dever is even better. I think she's amazing in this movie. I think it's just hilariously funny. It is shot really well, which is kind of rare with a comedy, a teen comedy. You don't really ever come out of it saying like the cinematography was great, but in this movie, the cinematography truly is great. The entire cast is excellent. The soundtrack is great. It's just like a really fresh movie that's like alive every single second that it's going. So I watched it in the theater. I loved it. I watched it at home. I liked it even more at home. So this is one that I definitely think will just get better the more you watch it. That kind of movie. So Booksmart is my number 7.
All right. You know, I like Booksmart. I laughed enough to like it. It probably didn't make my top 25. I don't think. I have to look at it again. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was like a girl's version of Superbad. Is what I felt like. A couple outcasts, you know what I mean, trying to get to like this party kind of thing. You know, I kind of felt like that's what it was. You know, I felt like it was a girl's version of Superbad. I just saw a lot of similarities and parallels there. That's what I saw.
I don't know. I heard that comparison elsewhere, but I think this movie I think Booksmart has a lot more on its mind than Superbad. I like Superbad a lot, but I do think it's like a solid 20 minutes too long for one thing. It's almost 2 hours long. This movie,
this one's not as long.
Like 87 minutes.
It is shorter. I'll give it that. It's shorter.
Just perfect.
I wouldn't say perfect, but it
well, I mean the right running time, the right running time, the right length.
Yeah, it is the right length. I like the characters. I thought that most of the actors in there were pretty good. I don't know. I guess maybe just I've seen so many teen comedies over the years that that every one that I see gets compared to the one that I've seen before it. So or it just reminds me of another teen comedy that I've seen. And I guess the further away I get in age, it gets a little less relatable for me watching teen comedies. It's you know what I mean? It feels a little weird watching, you know, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, you know, doing things that I did 20 years ago, you know.
Yes.
But I did like it. I didn't dislike it. I thought there was a lot to be had. It's definitely one to check out, and there are a lot of funny moments in it. So, yeah. So not completely disagreeing with you, but I'm disagreeing with you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'm used to you being wrong.
My number 7 is actually, and I don't have a prop, and I don't think he does either, is Peanut Butter Falcon. Which stars Shia LaBeouf and I can't think of the other kid's name with the.
I don't remember the kid's name.
And then the girl is
Melanie Griffith's daughter.
Yeah, Melanie Griffith's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson. Yeah.
And Don Johnson's daughter too.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great film. It was simplistic in a lot of ways, but it had a lot of layers as well. You know, the basic plot is not to get too much away. It actually kind of stars a kid that really has Down syndrome, and you know, it's just kind of interesting to watch him as an actor and kind of, you know, him interact with, you know, with Shia and the other characters in it, and I thought he was amazing in there. I thought it was a great story. It was fun, a lot of parts, and it had a little bit of suspense as well. It had some parts that were definitely suspenseful, but it was just a kind of a really good story. And I hate to call it a coming of age story, but in some ways it kind of felt a little bit like a coming of age for all 3 of those characters.
Totally.
The stars in there.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really liked it. Again, it falls kind of in the like for me the same range as Ready or Not. One of those movies I really liked, but there was something that prevented me from really, really, really liking it. But I did really like it. I thought it was a good coming of age movie. It's a good road movie.
Yeah.
You know, I love road movies.
Exactly.
I think, you know, I know he's got his people that don't like him, but I'm a Shia LaBeouf fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan as well. You know, he's kind of more like a not quite as bad as Tom Cruise, but like there's a lot of people that definitely just don't like him or don't like his films or won't watch his films just based on him starring in them. But he's always been a good actor, I felt like. You know, personal life aside, and I always try to separate the person from the movie. That's just always been my thing. Same with music as well. I try to separate the music from the person as well.
Right.
You know, so, you know, I don't know if he's somebody I'd hang out with necessarily, but he definitely is a great actor, and, you know, he's made a lot of great movies as well, so.
And I find, not to get off on too much of a tangent, but I find usually when a celebrity is going through a phase where he's really unpopular, that's usually when I get even more interested in that person, because to me, celebrities usually get unpopular because they're saying something that people don't want them to say, or is, you know, and to me that's like they're really being honest, and I think Shia LaBeouf got more interesting as he got older.
Well, and I agree. For me, it was kind of like he did a lot of like more indie kind of movies or films that were like really, really good, and then he got up to like the Transformers films, which I didn't like at all. So he was like top of the world for a little bit, and then he came kind of started crashing down, and now he's kind of getting back to his roots, is what I like about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that's the way I felt.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I really like that movie.
Perfect.
So,
All right. On to number 6.
All right, number 6 for me is one of your favorites. I know, Midsummer. I thought this was fantastic. I'm a huge fan of just on his first 2 movies, Ari Aster. I think this is a great movie. I think it's scary. I think it's extremely well acted. It's extremely well shot. It's atmospheric. Pretty much, I love this movie. Much like Us earlier, this is the second film by a director that I think it's not quite as good as his first film, in this case Hereditary, which I thought was even better than this one. But it's same as Jordan Peele. It's, you know, I'll be there for anything this guy does in the future, because I really like his sensibility. It's disturbing. It's scary. It's funny in places. It's beautiful. It's really original, even though at the same time you can definitely see its influences. But this is one of those movies that I've seen 3 times, and I keep noticing new things every time I see it. So I was also lucky enough to actually see the director's cut when I was in LA. And I'm not a big fan of director's cuts usually, because to me, sometimes they add stuff in that messes up the flow of the movie that I'm used to. But in rare cases, the director's cut actually improves the movie, and I think that's one of the cases in this movie. It's even longer, which I know it's already a long movie, but to me, the stuff that's added into the director's cut makes it flow even smoother. The story flows even smoother, so it doesn't feel as long as the shorter theatrical version in a weird way. But yeah, I think Midsummer is a great movie. It's not for everybody. You know, I wouldn't tell my mom to watch it, that's for sure. But it's a great movie if you like horror movies and you like horror movies and good movies in general, which you know you sometimes like.
Well, I definitely like horror movies, and I definitely like good movies in general. Didn't particularly care for this one a whole lot. Just wasn't for me. I saw Hereditary. I thought was okay. I saw this one. I thought was okay as well. For me, I don't know. I think you take out some of the major gory images that you'll find in both of these films, and I don't think there's just a whole lot of substance. It's more, for me, it felt like more shock value for me. That's just what I felt.
I completely disagree. Okay, we're having our first Siskel and Ebert moment here. Because, I mean, to me, both of those movies have so much more going on. I mean, the first one, they're both, first of all, just about grief, for one thing. They're about the main character is going through like a catastrophic loss, and it doesn't use that as like window dressing. That is the movie, is that how the person deals with grief. You know what I mean? It's not, to say it's just shock value. I mean, that sounds like, you know, it's like a slasher movie or something, you know? So
I don't know. I just feel like it was more. It wasn't scary to me. Neither one of them were really that scary to me. I felt like it was just a few scenes that were really shocking that would make you go, oh wow, you know. But other than that, I don't know. I just didn't get into it. I didn't jive with it, man.
Okay, all right.
You know?
I mean, you're free to be wrong.
I'm definitely right on this one. 100% right. Don't watch it.
Wait a second. You gave it 3 out of 5.
I'm just joking. It's
3 out of 5 is like your second highest rating.
I give it a quality 3, as I call it. So it's a quality 3, which means I didn't hate it, but I definitely didn't love it. It's not one that I'll revisit again. Any movie I give a quality 3 to, it's a movie that I'll say, okay, it had some elements that I enjoyed. I can see why somebody might like it. But for me, it's just not something I would personally watch again. Not that I don't like horror, because I love a lot of great horror movies, but this one just didn't jive for me all the way.
You don't love this great horror movie.
Okay. I love that movie.
Yeah.
We're on 6 already? All right.
Yeah.
My number 6, I don't have a visual for that one either, is going to be Jojo Rabbit. So that's going to be my number 6. I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was great. I walked in not knowing a whole lot about the film, and I walked in with a little bit of reservation, to be honest with you, because of the whole, you know, I don't think it's a spoiler to say this, but, you know, there's a Hitler character in there. I don't think that's a spoier. Is it?
No, it's definitely not a spoiler.
Yeah.
It's all over the ad.
Yeah, it's all over the ad, so I don't think that's a spoiler. So I did walk into a little bit of reservations to see how it was going to be done, but I thought it was done very tastefully. It's very funny. It's very real. It feels very real. There's just a lot of, all the acting in it was great. Scarlett Johansson's great in there. The kid is great in there. I don't know his name. I think I have it.
I don't remember.
He has been in a whole lot of movies. Roman Griffin Davis is his name. He was really good in there. One of my favorite characters was actually one of the supporting actors. He's only in a few scenes, but his best friend Yorkie. Like every scene that kid's in is just amazing. Yeah. I just enjoyed it. I thought it was a great story. I thought it was tastefully done. It's a great, you know, World War II Nazi film, I guess, if you will. But it's a lot different than what you think it's going to be, and that's what I liked about it. You know, it's a comedy. It's got some serious elements into it. It's got some action elements to it, but and it's got some drama as well. It's just overall just a good film. So.
Yeah, I really like Jojo Rabbit. It's another one like Ready or Not and Peanut Butter Falcon that I really liked, but they're in that like top 20 to 30 range probably if I looked at my list. that didn't quite make the top list for me, but I really liked a lot. And I know that the subject matter is touchy, and I certainly wouldn't try to tell anybody who was hesitant about it that they're wrong about being hesitant. I mean, it did. When I first saw the trailer, I was like, I don't know how that's going to really work, but I really like Taika Waititi, I think is how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it
played
worked.
a great Hitler. Is what he said.
Yeah.
So.
I thought it worked.
Yeah.
You know, I thought
Yeah.
I think maybe people think it doesn't take the subject matter seriously, but it does.
Yeah.
You know, it does. Without getting too much into spoilers, it's not sympathetic to Hitler in
not at all.
way.
And that's the main thing that I think people need to come across with the film is it's not sympathetic to him. It's not painting him putting on in a better light or anything like that. It's without giving any spoilers, but you just have to really watch it and just enjoy it. Just kind of open up your mind, let it, don't be angered as soon as you see him on the screen, and just kind of see where it goes from there. So.
Right. Yeah. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good movie.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
And number 5.
Yeah.